Historians claim that in the 79th year of our era, one of the most catastrophic eruptions of Vesuvius occurred. As a result of this cataclysm, the Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum, as well as Stabia, located at the foot of the volcano, Historians claim that in the 79th year of our era, one of the most catastrophic eruptions of Vesuvius occurred. As a result of this cataclysm, the Roman cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum, as well as Stabia, located at the foot of the volcano, were completely destroyed. Vesuvius generated a giant incandescent cloud of ash and smoke stones up to 33 kilometers high, while releasing thermal energy many times higher than the one that was released when the atomic bomb exploded over Hiroshima. Italian archaeologists have discovered that the heads of the inhabitants of Pompeii literally exploded during the eruption, their blood boiled and turned into steam. According to existing estimates, about 16,000 people died in Pompeii and Herculaneum due to heavy ash fallout and hydrothermal pyroclastic flows, the temperature of which reached 700 degrees Celsius. It is important to understand that the eruption of Vesuvius in 79 occurred in two stages. The first eruption, which lasted 18 to 20 hours, after which plastic flows spread over a long distance, and the second stage, the eruption of Pellian, which caused another series of pyroclastic flows, two of which hit Pompeii. Archaeologists have discovered voids in dense solid rock, the origin of which was not immediately clarified. Only by subjecting the discovered air chamber to a thorough analysis, the archaeologists managed to understand where they came from. The fact is that bones and some remains of once living organisms of people, domestic animals, and so on were found in each such cavity. Numerous studies have unequivocally confirmed that the age of the discovered remains corresponds to the approximate dates of the death of the city. Biologists helped explain the origin of voids in dense volcanic rock. The fact is that organic substances that form the basis of the body of any living organism, after its death, undergo slow decomposition. By the time the victim's body has completely decomposed, the rock has acquired a dense structure and could hold the original shape. Thus, after the complete disappearance of organic matter, only a few bones of the dead have been preserved, which are located in the formed cavity of the rock. This cavity completely repeats the shape of the body. Scientists poured a gypsum solution into these cavities. Then the solution was left for several days to cool and solidify, and then the outer layers of the hardened ash were removed. What was found amazed even the most experienced archaeologists. The frozen plaster, exactly with the smallest details of clothing and accessories, repeated the outlines of the body of the deceased person. The resulting cast depicted the grimace of a resident of Pompeii at the moment his tragic death, and since we remember the eruption took place in two stages, the first lasted 18 to 20 hours, after which the pyroclastic flows descended after the eruption began. Almost a day passed. At that moment, residents of ancient cities could observe shortly before the eruption, the water temperature in the Bay of Naples had to rise sharply and in some places reach the boiling point. All streams and the wells on the slopes of Vesuvius had to dry up from the bowels of the mountain. Terrible sounds resembling a prolonged groan had to be heard. So the catastrophe should not have caught people by surprise, and they should have seen that something terrible was happening. As archaeologists assure, about a tenth of the population died on the streets of Pompeii, about 2,000 people, the rest may have managed to escape. Right, the remains of the victims were also found outside the city so that no one knows the exact number of dead, according to some data. The total number of victims of the eruption is about 16,000 people. Destructive hydrothermal pyroclastic flows poured into the city. Their temperature reached 700 degrees. Let's imagine for a second that we are residents of the city who bothered to witness this epic action. A deafening explosion, a huge column of smoke. What will you do first? I think everyone will give themselves an unambiguous answer: to run away from the source of danger. But what are the residents of Pompeii doing? In principle, they are not going anywhere. They live almost a day as usual, watching something terrible happen, and do not make any attempts to escape. That's who has one place of steel. So, after this epic fireworks, the impromptu concert moves on to the second climactic phase, after which all the audience die. But how exactly did they die? As scientists say, it was difficult to breathe. A heavy black veil hung in the air. People fought for their lives, trying to escape from imminent death, to find safe places, then fell down without strength, and they were quickly covered with ashes. They suffocated and died in cruel agony. But plaster casts of the bodies of the dead tell us the opposite. For example, this mother holds one child in her lap and still one in his arms. No one had a question: why did the bodies freeze in this position? Alive? Why aren't they scattered on the floor contrary to all the laws of physics? If a combustible poisonous cloud descended, then why didn't the mother even try to save the children? What can I say? She didn't even twitch, which suggests that their death was instantaneous, lightning fast, not in 1 or 2 seconds, but in a fraction of a second, as if an unknown photographer pulled the trigger of an unknown camera and forced them to freeze forever in this sculpture. If an ash cloud suddenly covers the whole city, then in any case, all this infernal mixture will not get into the house instantly and will gain the concentration necessary for death in the most fantastic scenarios, even if only in a few seconds. Then the person will still have time to notice it and at least get scared or lose consciousness and drop the child, lower her hands or at least twitch, but she did not even take her eyes off the child, which means that a second earlier nothing foreshadowed trouble. But what is there really? A few frozen bodies are not enough for a complete picture of that. What were other residents of the city doing at that moment? Now take the children away from the screens if they watch this video with you, because there will be very spicy death poses. It sounds funny, but some, for example, masturbated and death overtook them during this lesson. Here the person did not lose consciousness, did not twitch from pain and did not even drop the organ from his hands, from which, apparently, he did not receive his measured pleasure. As soon as he realized the impending death, he did not try to escape, decided to indulge in this kind of carnal pleasures, and here people generally engage in oral sex, and scientists for a long time considered them a man and a woman, until they conducted a genetic analysis and established that they were 2 men. They also apparently did not know about the imminent demise and nothing foreshadowed trouble. Here a man generally died squatting. How he did it is unclear. Apparently many residents of Pompeii studied the poses of people. Buddhist monks study instructions on how to die in the desired position at their leisure. Some were just resting, and death overtook them in a dream. The nature of the destruction speaks of the suddenness of what happened. The situation in houses, hotels and public buildings is as if the owners did not leave them at all. It seems that some mystery really hovers over this story, if what happened was true. An ordinary volcanic eruption, then people could prepare. The eruption of the volcano was preceded for some time by an explosion from the volcano. Various sounds came from underground, which could not but alert people. A person at the moment of danger can at least get up, because only fractions of a second are needed to make this movement, but this did not happen. It seems that the lava covered them before any sounds reached them. The fact that people were found under a 10-meter layer of ash suggests that they were swallowed up by the earth in a fraction of a second. What can create such a thing is not that people have never died from volcanic activity, but that, like this, most of those who remained in the city were actively engaged in something at the time of their death and did not even try to escape. I want to appeal to competent people involved in the relevant fields of science, if of course one of them watches this video. Please answer constructively the question: under what circumstances can a living and healthy person in his right mind, to put it mildly, strangely die and freeze in exactly the same position as he was a second before death? It is very strange that Pompeii did not die. Friends, if you like the issue, put likes and subscribe to the channel. See you again.